What if fairy tales, the bedtime stories we once believed were innocent, were never meant for children? What if, behind the castles, monsters, curses, and enchanted objects, lie fragments of rituals practiced more than 4,300 years ago, when humanity sought to explain death, survival, and the unknown through ceremonies of blood, fire, and prophecy? The stories we know today, Snow White, Rapunzel, Beauty and the Beast, Sleeping Beauty, may seem harmless. But the deeper you go, the clearer it becomes. These tales are veiled memories of ancient rites, encoded so they could survive without revealing their forbidden truths. Archaeologists have uncovered tablets from Mesopotamia, carvings from Egypt, and fragments from the Levant that describe rituals eerily similar to what fairy tales later disguised. Young women locked away in towers or chambers, banquets filled with rules never to be broken, trials against beasts or monsters representing chaos. These ceremonies were not entertainment, they were acts of survival. By performing them, people believed they could contain darkness, appease the gods, or protect their communities from famine and plague. Over centuries, the ritual language faded. But the bones of the story, a maiden, a monster, a forbidden act, a transformation, survived as fairy tales. Look closely at the recurring settings of fairy tales. The tower, symbol of isolation and control, echoing the practice of separating chosen maidens for prophecy or sacrifice. The forest, a chaotic realm, outside the order of civilization, where initiations and trials took place. The forbidden room, found in tales like Bluebeard, reflects ritual spaces where secrets were hidden, where crossing the threshold meant punishment or revelation. Each space is more than scenery. It is a stage for rituals humans repeated for thousands of years, hidden now in the fabric of children's stories. One of the most powerful rituals was the union with the monstrous. Ancient societies often demanded offerings, not always of animals but of humans, especially women, to forces that symbolized chaos. The fairy tale transforms this sacrifice into romance. Beauty and the Beast is no love story at first. It is a coded ritual of appeasement. The maiden enters the lair of the beast, survives the threshold, and emerges transformed. What was once a rite of terror becomes a parable of love. But the root remains the same: the dangerous marriage between humanity and the unknown. Hercules and his labors, Gilgamesh facing monsters, knights sent to slay dragons. These stories overlap with fairy tales where heroes are sent into the woods to kill wolves, witches, or giants. In each case, the monster is not random. It is chaos given form. To face it was not just a story. It was a ritual test. Blood was often spilled, sacrifices made, and only by enduring the impossible trial could the initiate earn a place in society. Over time, storytellers turned these ordeals into allegories, but the shadow of blood remains. Why are apples, roses, mirrors, and hair so often at the center of fairy tales? Because they were sacred symbols in rituals thousands of years old. Apples, forbidden knowledge and life itself, from Mesopotamian myths to biblical Eden. Roses, beauty mixed with danger, used in fertility rites. Mirrors, gateways to the soul, instruments of divination. Hair, strength, identity, and spiritual connection, never to be cut except in sacrifice. Each magical object in a tale once belonged to the altar of an ancient rite. Fairy tales always end with transformation. The beast becomes a man, the sleeping maiden awakens, the cursed one is freed. But this was not about happy endings. It was about renewal. Ancient rituals demanded that chaos be confronted, blood be spilled, and order be restored. Transformation was not optional. It was the law of survival. The modern fairy tale softens this law into a kiss, a wedding, a happily ever after. But the old truth remains. Transformation requires suffering, and order is born only through struggle. So why do these stories endure? Why do children still hear fragments of rituals that once demanded silence, fear, and sacrifice? Because humanity does not forget. The stories carry what we cannot erase: the memory of thresholds crossed, of monsters faced, of blood spilled in the name of balance. The mystery is this. Our bedtime stories are the last living masks of ancient ceremonies. What once happened in temples and dark forests now survives in books for children. The next time you hear a fairy tale, remember, it is not only a story about magic, castles, or true love. It is the shadow of a ritual 4,300 years old, a forbidden act humanity chose to hide inside the innocence of stories. And this is only another step into the darkness. Prepare yourself for the next untold tale, where ancient legends and forgotten rites will once again reveal their hidden truths.